thing we did in class was we got to the end of page 8. We were talking about how when you evaluate functions, you want to make sure that you use parentheses, and typically when they want you to evaluate more than one x, they like to have you put it in a table, or it's easiest if you put it in a table just so that you can keep track of all of the things that you're evaluating. Then over here, we were talking about how if they ask you to find f of -4, what they're really asking you is what is the function, so this function, when x is -4. So I just wanted to write in at the bottom of this page what this actually means, or what it's asking you. It's asking you what is the function when x is 1. Now, if you don't feel like writing that down would be helpful to you, then you don't have to write it down. I just wanted it to be very clear and make sure that you have some reference for what it means when they ask you for f of 10 or g of -2 or h of 5. They're asking you to evaluate the function at that number or at that x value. Then the other thing that we briefly talked about, because we only have like a minute left in class, was that these numbers were the same. So when we put in a -4 and a +4, we got 78 both times. And then when we put in a -1 and a +1, we got 3 both times. So where we're going after today's lesson is associating this function with what the graph would look like. So we know that this, or hopefully we feel comfortable with the idea that that function is in this family. So he is a parabola. And then going further from that, last time we talked about, well, how can we make that parabola look different? So these were 4 different ways you could make it look different. So then if we go back to this last one that we looked at, well, we can say to ourselves, this is a parabola that has been stretched by a factor of 5 and has been shifted down 2. So I'm just going to over here do a really quick draw of what that would look like. So I'm going to draw an x and y axis, and I promise I'm going to go really, really quick. And I'm going to make just two little tick marks underneath, and then 4 little tick marks to the right and the left. So I know now, based off of what we've talked about so far, that this parabola was shifted down by 2. So the bottom of this parabola is at 0, -2.
So I have GTA and I didn't know that the bus leaves at 11:05.
Okay, so are you going?
Yeah.
Okay, go. Thank you for checking in.
I got 100%. Good job.
Good job. And then, based off of these other points, I know that at -1, I'm at +3. So that would be like this guy. Nope, I need to be 1 over, sorry. And at +1, I'm at 3. So now I'm starting to see this really skinny parabola. Because remember, that whole number makes it really, really skinny. So this is why at -1, you have a 3, but also at +1, you have a 3. Because what this would end up graphing is a parabola that looks the same on the left and the right side. Well, then all of a sudden, by the time we get over to 4, this thing's like all the way up at 78. And even this is not like drawn to scale. Like I would have to draw it really, really up. So what this is telling us is that this parabola is a really super narrow parabola that matches on both sides of the y-axis. So that's why you were seeing that at -4, you were all the way up at 78, but also at +4, you were at 78. So right now we're just noting that, and if you didn't draw this really skinny parabola, that's okay, but this is where we're going next. We're heading toward this idea of where all they would give us is 5x squared minus 2, and what we would give in return is this graph that looks really narrow and has been shifted down by 2. So What we're focusing on, though, for the rest of the day is this idea of what is the function when x is a given number. So if it's a table, or sorry, if they want you to do more than one x for the same function, they have you put it in the table. But if we flip over to this side and all they want you to do is evaluate one number, you no longer have to make the table. So I'm going to run through 3 or 4 of these with you just to help you know what buttons to press if anything looks different. And then we'll do a couple on our own and be left to do the quiz. So this wants us to evaluate this line. This is a linear function because all there is an x. There's no squared, there's no cubed, there's no other symbols. And what we did to this line was stretched him, moved him right 7 and up 3. What they want to know, though, is what is y when x is 4? Or what does the function give us when we plug in a 4? So we're going to say f of 4 is equal to, we're going to write 6. We're going to write parenthesis, and then we're going to replace this x with a 4. What we talked about last time was when we replace the variable with a number, we want to use parentheses. This is one case, one rare case, where parentheses doesn't really make sense because it's already next to a parenthesis. So I'm just going to leave that 4 like it is. Do a -7, end my parenthesis, and a +3. So everything in pencil was the original function, and then this 4 was what I plugged in for the variable in the function. So now, based on last time, I know that I'm going to have all the buttons that I need to enter this in. So into my calculator, I can just hit 6, parenthesis, 4 minus 7, parenthesis, and then add on to the very end a 3. Great, -15. So what this is telling us is that if we graphed this line, there would be a point at 4, -15. So we would have the picture of the line, and then this would be a point on the line. Just like we have this parabola, and this is a point on the parabola. Okay, the next one we have is another parabola. So this one was a line, this one is a parabola, and I know that it is because of this x squared. But these transformations, I'm not used to seeing them like that, so I don't really know what has happened to this guy. So I'm just going to evaluate and go from there. This time the function's name is h, and they want us to evaluate at -1. So we have to go back to our parentheses on this one. If we're evaluating h of -1, then what we need to have is parenthesis and plug the -1 into that. Then we have a -6, and we're going to want to use parentheses again and plug the -1 into that. And then lastly, the +5. So we're going back to, on this one, that in most cases, it's very helpful if you put or use parentheses. Now, when I type this in, I just want to show you something about your negative symbol and your minus symbol, because you guys know how to plug this in. So we would hit parenthesis, -1, parenthesis, and then remember your squared is kitty corner from your 7. Your squared is kitty corner from the 7. Then I would do -6, parenthesis, -1, then at the very end, add 5. Now the one thing that I want to show you before I hit enter is if you plug it in and it looks right, but you get a different answer or it gives you an error, it's because you've accidentally pressed a negative when it should have been a minus, or vice versa. So this right here is a good example of how you can know the difference. Notice that the minus is in the middle of the number and it's longer. The negative is shorter and it's further up. It's just slightly up. So this guy is 12. if we graphed this parabola, then we know that we have a point at -1, 12. So right now we're just evaluating the function for what y it would give us. And then eventually we're going to put that x and y together and make a graph. Okay, this guy is a roller coaster, a cubic function that's been shifted up by 9. So he looks exactly like this guy, except for that we took that center part there at 0, 0 and moved it up to 9. Okay, so to evaluate this guy, we go back to our parentheses. We're going to say f of -2. We're going to use parentheses. And inside that parentheses, you're going to put your -2, and then you're going to add 9 to this. So all I need to show you for this problem is how do you get a 3 instead of a 2? Because right now we've been just using our x squared button, so then how do we get the cubed in? So we're going to hit parenthesis, -2, parenthesis, and then just like on your Chromebook, to get the power of 3 in, you use this caret button. It's above the divide, so that gray row of plus, minus, multiply, divide, you hit that caret. It's like a triangle. And then it'll put you up into the exponent position. We type in a 3, and then what this arrow is telling you is, if you want to get out of this, you have to arrow over. So if I arrow over, it kicks me out of the exponent, and I can put that +9 on. So this one just ends up being 1. So that roller coaster would have a point at -2, +1. Okay, so 5 is one that you guys can actually try without me. You don't need any of my guidance. You would just use your parentheses and plug everything in. So I'm going to give you 30 to 45 seconds to do that, and then I will unfreeze and we will compare our answers. Really try it though, so that when you get to the problems, you know what buttons to be hitting. Holy moly. Calculator down. So on your quiz, the only answer you would have to give is this. Yeah. So I would just box that, and you don't have to do this, but yes, there would be a point in -3. Yeah. And you will get Okay. So most of you are through. I'll give you about 10 more seconds, and then I'll clarify something for you. About 5, 3. So lots of you guys were unsure if you were right, because what you end up getting is -58. So on your quiz, the answer is -58. You don't have to go any further than that. I have just been highlighting for you that this would be associated with a point on the graph at -3, -58. So what you're really doing on all of these problems is finding what is in the box. And then next time we put it together, we put these together and actually put the points on the graph. So what you're doing is the number that I have boxed. You don't have to put the coordinates if you don't want to. Okay, number 6, I think you guys could do just fine. I just need to show you how to put the root symbol in your calculator. So if you want to do g of 12, this is another one where parentheses doesn't really make sense, because this 12 that we plug in is already next to like a symbol. So I will just put in 12 minus 3, and then add the 5. You won't get it wrong if you put the parentheses, you just don't need them. In fact, I'll put them in when I plug this in my calculator just to show you. So the button to get the root, I'll just write them down and then I'll show you, is your blue button, which has a second on it, and your x squared button that's kitty corner to 7. That's just me showing you it's kitty corner to the 7. So if you look really closely, you can see on that x squared button in blue a little root symbol. So to get that root symbol, you have to push the blue button to get what is in blue. So blue button, x squared, and now it gives you that root. I'm going to use parentheses just to show you you'll get it right if you use them even when you don't need them. And then once again, it gives you that little arrow because if you want to get out of there, you have to arrow over. Then it's a +5. I got 8. Is that what you guys got? So all you would be required to do on the quiz is say the answer is 8. This tells us that if we graphed it, there would be a point at 12, 8. Okay, last one of these where they look a little bit different. We have an exponential. If we want to find f of -4, we're going to do 3. And it's easier if you write it really big. To the -4 plus 4. If you wanted to put parentheses around that guy, you could. It's up to you, whatever you prefer. So to get this one in, you have to do 3 and then the caret button. You're going to hit that caret button. And then in that little box, it's going to let you type -4. And that arrow means it's still in the exponent, so you'll just hit +4. And then right there, you could just hit enter, because I think that's all we have, right? Yeah. So what does that one give us? 1. Okay, so you have 2 tables at the bottom. The one that I want you guys to do is 9. I only want to do a couple of 8 with you, but I want you guys to do all of 9. So this goes back to this one. They want us to evaluate that cubic at a bunch of different x values. So you would type it into your calculator. And then remember, you guys can copy and paste. Do you guys remember that? So if I plug this one in, I'll do it really quick with you. Remember to arrow over or out of that exponent so it doesn't jack you up. So I put it in once. Hit enter. I'm getting -30. How about you guys? Oh, I plugged in a 3. Oopsie. So now to fix it, I just got to pull this down and change that 3 to a 2 because I made a mistake. Okay, -40. Is that better? Is that what you guys got? So now when you go to do -1, you just copy it and paste and change the number. You guys are trying all this table, yeah? So you're going to do these ones here, and then I'm going to check in with you. Maybe I should pick sticks. Do we feel ready for that? I got everybody's stick ready yesterday. Whoa. You guys are yellow. Julian is not here. Jana is, though. Carlton is.
So, like, what if I don't want to write the entire thing several times over and over again? Can I just, like, plug it in and then just do the answer?
Yes,
Okay,
but then you won't get on the board. But you will get 100%.
Sounds good. I don't really care to be on the board.
Oh, Sunday!
I mean, oh, yeah, I do.
I cry in my heart. Do we need like a minute? Do we need less than a minute? Okay, I come walk through to see what's happening. I just come walk through. You guys like that better than the fridge? The fridge are roomy. Okay, is 30 seconds enough? Anyone? Thank you. About 20? 10? About 5? 3? 2? Okay, what'd you get when x was -1? -4? Uh-oh. -4? Okay. What'd you get at 0? 1? 2? How many's? Don't be scared. 56? Sometimes I just double check, but it's not because you're wrong. I just didn't hear it, or I was just double checking. You're okay on this? Okay, 3 whiteboard questions, and then we'll be done. Let's do 3. So we did not do table 8, and that's fine. So you can just put answer on your little whiteboard if you want. No biggie. Oops, not freeze. Zoom out. Okay, let's do g of x is root x plus 3. Find g of 25. Okay, 10, 5, 3, 2. Okay, show me. 8, table 2. What is happening? Oh, okay. I just couldn't see it. I'm with you now. 3 times 2 minus 5 minus 4. Uh-oh, I didn't give it a name. Y equals. Figure out what y equals. That's an n. When n is 7. So you just replace the n with the 7. Okay, we got about 10. Five. 3, 2. Okay, show me. 23. Okay, one more. That's our last one. Okay, 10. 5, 3, 2. Okay, show me. Oh, 100? Okay, so on your quiz, we are stopping here, but there's not a stop sign, so I'll just write it in. We're doing quiz 0.3, the front only. The front only. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4 are basically what you just did. They don't put it in a table, but it's very similar. But number 5, family, is a multiple choice question. Okay? Which means that you have to check all of them to see if they're true or not. If they're true, you circle it. If it's not true, you don't circle it. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Are you sure? 5 is multiple choice. The rest of them are what you did during class time. Okay, go.